Hey, how you doing? A little change of pace here. Normally, I'm giving you how-to videos on my 95 Formula, but well, I have some issues with my 74 El Camino, and I thought I'd share them with you. Now, my El Camino has had a number of upgrades and changes and things over the years. One of those is a high-energy ignition or HEI distributor. And like most distributors made in the last 30 or 40 years, it has a vacuum advance unit. Vacuum advance units there primarily to help add a little timing, usually off idle, starting the car, that kind of thing. And if you don't have a functioning unit, you end up with problems like timing not advancing enough, hard starting. Basically, it's kind of like the engine at some points feels like it's hitting a brick wall. There's just no power, and that's because the timing isn't keeping up with the engine speed. Mechanical advance has a lot to do with engine timing, especially off acceleration out, but the vacuum advance adds that little bit of extra boost there to help you out. Now what you see me doing here is I'm looking at my initial advance. The advance on this car is supposed to be between 10 and 12 degrees initial. I have it set to 15, and what you're looking at is this is my adjustable timing light. And at 0, you see the line is actually moved off on the tab. You can't see it, but it'd be like around 15 or so. This one is actually set at 15 degrees initial, and that was to compensate for the bad vacuum advance units. So that's what I'm showing you here. And what I can do with this timing light is basically I can rotate that dial on the back of the gun and just keep rotating until that timing mark on the dampener matches up with the 0 mark unit, or a 0 mark on the tab, and then look at the gun and I can tell exactly what my initial advance is. And in this case, it's again going to be 15 degrees. I'd got a new unit from Jegs, and what I wanted to do here was just kind of get a baseline before I did anything. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I'm going to show you some stuff. I'll show you some tests I'm going to do. I'll show you basically some installation steps, that kind of thing. I can't show you everything because I only got 2 arms and 2 hands, so I couldn't get right in there because it was kind of a pain for me to get at. But it's pretty standard stuff. You remove the distributor cover, remove a couple of screws, and then you kind of twist out and jiggle out the old vacuum advance unit, and then install the new one. The most tricky part of installing the new one was actually getting the little tab to hook up with the tab underneath the advance weights in the distributor itself. But the first step is to actually test out the unit. Now, usually some people just like to advance the timing on the engine, or no, I'm sorry, advance the throttle on the engine and see if the timing mark moves past past what the mechanical advance would give you on the distributor. That's fine, but that's kind of hard to see. The easiest way to test a vacuum advance unit or distributor is just hook up a vacuum pump, like a Mighty Vac or something, and see if it gets any pressure. If you don't get any pressure, you know the diaphragm's blown. That's the number one thing to fail on these. They're real simple. If it does hold pressure, then you know it's good. This one too is also, I'll show you, it's also an adjustable unit, so you can actually change the amount of vacuum that it offers. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual parts.
So you're probably asking yourself, what is that thing? Of course, if you read the title of the video, you kind of have a guess. This is an adjustable vacuum advance unit for an HEI distributor. And its function is to basically be hooked to ported vacuum, meaning off idle. And what happens is there's mechanical advance in any distributor, and then this one adds some vacuum advance to basically help with starting the car, off idle throttle response, stuff like that. And throughout the range, the more vacuum gets pulled, the more this little pin here will move. See, it's got good tight spring in it. And adjustable means that you can take this little Allen wrench here and stick it in to the unit, like so. And what they tell you to do is to start by turning it all the way counterclockwise till it stops, which basically seats it. and then as you go, pull it back a couple of turns, clockwise, just like that. And you keep turning it clockwise till when you're on hard acceleration, you hear a ping, and then if you hear that ping, then you just turn it back a little bit, counterclockwise, till the ping goes away. And that is how you set your adjustable vacuum advance. The problem with the one currently in the car is that it has a blown rubber little diaphragm inside, so it's basically having no effect and is one big vacuum leak. So what I'm going to do is attempt to replace this thing. So let's go take a look at the car. Okay, this is a 74 El Camino, meaning it originally came with points ignition. I converted it to HEI a number of years ago. So it's basically a first-gen electronic ignition. But you can see there's the vacuum advance, there's the HEI, there's the vacuum advance. And to get at it, I got to pull the cap and some other parts, and then take a couple of bolts out, wiggle that thing out, and try to wiggle the new one in. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll try to show you a few steps along the way, although I've only got two hands, but I'll show you everything I can. Okay, you can see we've got the cap moved off the side. We had to pull basically the tack wire and the feed wires from it, but I was able to get away with leaving the rest of you can see the rest of the spark plug wires attached and just get it out of the way. But you can see down in there, kinda, let's get the camera right. I've gotten the cap off, and you kind of get a view of you can see the mechanical weights here. Get my hand in there. You can see where they are. And right down here, here's the vacuum advance. And in here are a couple of screws and a pin. And we're going to take that out. So, okay. What you're looking at is these are the two small screws that mount, your vacuum advance unit. And where they go is, in mine, it had one right there in that hole and right at the end. Be careful taking them out because they're small and they could fall, and that'd be a horrible thing. But I'm doing a big test right now. I actually have the new one hooked up to a vacuum pump. Here you can see that. You see, there's the hose. And if you watch, you can actually see that it holds vacuum. And if you flip it around, you can actually see the needle move. That's exactly what it's supposed to do in practice. Now, let's hook up the old one. Okay, here's the old one hooked up. Now, you try to give it a vacuum. Nothing. No movement. Nothing. It's dead. You can actually do this test on the car as well. If you're not getting any vacuum at all, if you're not getting any reading on a vacuum pump, it's done. Also, you can see we had to remove the rotor, and it's in good shape. Okay, so we've got it all back together. This is the old one, has the shot diaphragm. Here's the deal, I'll tell you. You're going to have to just basically, in some cases, just kind of get a feel for what's going on here. I told you about adjusting basically putting the Allen wrench in and doing an adjustment here inside. Starts it all the way counterclockwise till it stops, then turn it clockwise a few times, and again till it starts pinging. That's the basic adjustment. It's kind of crude, but it works. The big thing is get something like a drift or an awl or something you can put in the holes when you're putting this thing back in. When you're trying to mount it, getting these holes lined up, because those screws are real easy to lose. Again, in my case, in the Chevy HEI, there was one here, and there was one up here. Once you get them lined up, usually there's enough space where the screw will drop in and it won't, enough to where it won't fall out when you're trying to screw on it. But just use an Allen in one of the holes or something when you're trying to line it up and to keep it aligned, and you'll be okay. As far as the big thing, you'll probably have some trouble getting it hooked up with the tab inside the distributor, this part to go in. All I can tell is you're just going to have to keep wiggling with it and fooling with it. One thing that kind of helped was I put the vacuum on the new one and pulled it, because when you pull the vacuum, it actually pulls this thing up, across and down a little bit, so it gives you a little more clearance up top here from this part. See how that can kind of move. But you know, your mileage is going to vary. Some people find it easy, some people find it hard. I found it right in the middle as far as being difficult. It was a pain in the butt is what it was, but it wasn't as bad as some things. Let's see. That's really all there is to it. Once it's put down, once it's down, you put your rotor back on and put your cap back on and put your wires back on the distributor for your tach and your battery feed, and you should be good. So hopefully this was helpful. I wish I could do a turn-by-turn for you, but I didn't have the camera for it, or the extra 2 arms and hands to hold a camera while I was doing it. So good luck with yours, and we'll be talking to you.